This is a reteach for the equations and inequality test. So to do the test corrections, you're going to get a piece of paper, put your name on it, write down the number of the problem that you got wrong, write down your answer. Next to that, rework the problem by watching this video. And then next to that, you need to write what you did wrong, what you didn't understand, or what you understand now. You need to reflect and kind of explain and think about what happened, okay? All right, so here we go. So number one, make this a little bigger and maybe straighter. No, okay. All right, so I see I have the equal sign. Remember, we talked about if you're not sure about the combining like terms to draw that line on the equal sign. See, these are like terms here. So 2b's plus 3b's or 5b's. Okay, then I have to get b by itself, so I'm getting rid of the positive 6 with the negative 6. So 5b equals 21 minus 6 is 15. I get rid of a coefficient with division. 15 divided by 5 is 3, so b equals 3. Now if I check that, put it back into my equation, 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, 6 plus 9 is 15, plus 6 does equal 21, so I know I am correct. Okay, number 2, I say I have variables on both sides now, and I have distribution. So the first thing I'm going to do is distribute the 5 here, and then we're going to distribute the 7 over here. So 5 times y is 5y, 5 times negative 4 is negative 20, 7 times 2y is 14y, 7 times 1 is 7. Okay, now I have to get all of my variables on one side and all of my numbers on the other side. Okay, so I'm going to just put my variables on I'm going to put the variables on the left. Okay, here we go. I'm going to put the variables on the left and the numbers on the right. So I'm going to take this 14y and move it, subtract it from both sides. It's going over here. Now it's negative 14y. Okay, so now I have negative 14 and 5 is negative 9y minus 20 equals 7. Now I need to take this negative 20, put it over here. So now it's positive 20. I'm adding 20 to both sides. So then I have negative 9y equals 27. So now I have to get rid of my coefficient with division. I have to make sure I divide by negative 9 because I don't want to know what negative y is. I want to know what positive y is. So negative 9 divided by negative 9, that's 1. 27 divided by negative 9 is negative 3. Okay, so let's go through and put it back into our equation and see. So negative 3 minus 4 is negative 7 times 5 is negative 35. Here, 2 times negative 3, is negative 6, plus 1 is negative 5, times 7 is negative 35. So it works. Okay, number 3. Here again we have distribution, but only on one side. So I'm going to multiply 3 by 2x and 3 by negative 6. So it's going to give me 18 over here, 6x minus 18. Okay, so I am going to just move that negative 18 since there's no variables on the other side. I'm just going to leave 6x where it is. If I put this on the other side, it's going to be positive 18, so I'm adding 18 to both sides. 18 plus 18 is 36 equals 6x. Divide by the coefficient. That gives me 1, so x equals 6. Okay, so let's see if it works. 2 times 6 is 6. 2 times 6 is 12. 12 minus 6 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18, which is what I was supposed to get. So it works. Number 4, again, we have distribution. So 5 times x 5 times negative 4, 4 times 2x, 4 times negative 5. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times negative 4, negative 20. And on this side I have plus 3x equals 4 times 2x, 8x. 4 times negative 5 is negative 20. So then I see I have like terms on this side. Those two can go together. 5x and 3x is 8x minus 20 equals 8x minus 20. That is the same thing. That's equal. So you can keep going and get negative 20 equals negative 20. You can go further and get 0 equals 0. But when you reach this identity of the same thing on both sides, we know the solution is all real numbers. Or you can just write that. Okay, and then number 5, what is the solution of negative 2x, or negative 2 times 3x plus 9 equals 24? So again, we have distribution, where you have to remember to distribute the negative 2 here. So negative 2 times 3x is negative 6x. Negative 2 times 9 is negative 18. That equals 24. I need to get my x alone, so I need to get rid of this negative 18. So I'm going to add 18 to both sides. And that gives me negative 6x equals 24 plus 8. 24 plus 18, which is 42. Okay. I need to divide by the coefficient, so negative 6, that equals 1. So x equals negative 7. So let's make sure that works. 3 times negative 7 is negative 21. Negative 21 plus 9 is negative 12. Negative 12 times negative 2 is positive 24. So yay, it works. The next section is solving literal equations. So we're going to do the same process. We're going to isolate the variable we want. And to start, we're going to isolate the variable term we want. Put everything else on the other side by adding, subtracting for this situation. And then we're going to divide by the coefficient. Okay, so we're solving this for y, so I need to get y by itself. So first I need to get 3y by itself. So I need to get rid of this 6y. So I'm going to do that by subtracting 6y, making a zero pair, just as if it were any other kind of equation. So when I do that, it comes over here and it's negative 6y. So now I have 3y equals negative 6x plus 15. You can write it the other way if you want, 15 minus 6x. I just like things in slope-intercept form. Okay, so now I have to get rid of the 3 because I just need y, so I get rid of a coefficient by dividing. So that equals 1. So y equals. Now, you can leave it like this. That's fine for now. But that 3, everything gets divided by 3 because it's like a common denominator for a fraction. This is the same thing as negative 6x over 3 plus 15 over 3. So then you would get, hang on, let me get some space here. There you go. Now we would get y equals negative 2x plus 5. That's just going to make it easier for us to do the next part. But like I said, if this is what you got, that's fine. Okay, so let's see what the rest of the problem is asking us to do. What does y equal if x is 2 and if x is 5? Okay, so over here, if x equals 2, then y equals, this is the equation we got. I'm just going to write it down again so you can see the substitution. So y equals 2 times 2, because that's what they want to know, if x is 2. So y equals 4. Oops, I forgot my negative sign. Negative 2, negative 4, plus 5. So y equals 1. Okay, and then they want to know what if y or x equals 5. Well, our equation is negative 2x plus 5. We put a 5 in for x, negative 2 times 5 plus 5, and then just, do the arithmetic there. Negative 2 times 5, negative 10. Negative 10 plus 5 is negative 5. Okay, so that substituting in the values, I counted 5 points for this part, and then the rest of your points, which should have been 20, but I think I counted 15 for solving for y. Okay, next one. This one, if you look at this, you need to think about what's being done to the variable before we can start undoing. So I'm solving for n. So this formula, whatever it's for, is P times capital V equals N times R times T. So the only thing I've talked about is multiplication. The only way to undo multiplication is with division. So we're not going to have any addition, subtraction, or any subtraction here in our answer because there's no addition in our equation to start with. So that's definitely out. Okay. Everything's multiplied, so we undo things by division, not multiplication, which really then eliminates those two. Okay, so let's look and see why B is correct. So 5P capital V equals N R T. I'm trying to get N by itself. So RT is like a coefficient. I have to divide by R capital T. So then I have to divide this side by R capital T. That equals 1. So I'm left with N equals P capital V over capital R capital T. So that's why B is the right answer. Okay, number 8. You can find the net force F on an object by using the formula F equals ma. So that's important. And we need that formula. M is the mass and A is the acceleration. What is the mass of an object that has a net force of 65 and an acceleration of 5? So I know that F is 65 and A is 5, and I have to find M. I don't know what that is. Okay, so this isn't literal equations because I guess what they want you to do is solve F equals ma, solve this for M. But honestly, we don't need to do this. We can just solve it like an equation because we know two of the variables. So F equals mass times acceleration. So 65 equals M times 5. How do I undo multiplication? With division. So mass equals 65 divided by 15 is 13. Okay, so back here, this griddable has a floating decimal point. You see how there's a decimal point right there? You get to shade it in. So it doesn't matter where you put this 13. I'm just going to put it here. Okay. I think, though, if you put it over here, like if you do this, you're going to need to, maybe you should shade in a decimal point after, just to be on the safe side, okay? So that makes gridding them maybe a little bit easier. On the 8th grade, 7th grade test, you have to know where your decimal point is, so you have to know the 13 goes in front. But here, it doesn't matter because it's a floating decimal point. All right, so we forgot to go check our answer. So force equals mass times acceleration. We say mass is 13 and acceleration is 5. 13 times 5 is 65, so it works. Okay, so number 9. The perimeter of a rectangle can be represented by this equation here. Okay, we have to find the width. Okay, so we are solving this equation for W. Plus 2W for W. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is get W alone, so I first have to get 2W alone. So I need to move this 2L to the other side, which is going to change its sign. So basically I'm subtracting 2L from both sides. Okay, so that gives me P minus 2L equals 2W. A lot of people stop there, but that's 2W. We need W by itself. So we get rid of the coefficient, the coefficient by division. Okay, so W equals this. And I left it like that, but you might see it written this way as well. Kind of out of room. Let me go on this other side, maybe. There's room over here. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this can be further simplified because we know it's this, right? Minus 2L over 2. You can split up that denominator. So those will cancel. So you may see this written 1/2 the perimeter minus L. Those would be equivalent. Okay, just so you know. Alrighty. Okay, solving inequalities and graphing. Really, solving inequalities is going to follow the same process as solving equations, with getting all the variables on one side and all the constants on the other. The only thing you have to be careful of is if you multiply or divide by a negative, your inequality sign is going to flip around. Also, this is where I think it's much, much easier to graph them if you keep your variable on the left-hand side. So that's what I do. All right, so number 10 here, we have distribution. So I'm going to distribute the 4. So 4k minus 20 plus 12k. Oops, I was going to write a b. There you go. K is greater than or equal to -4. Okay, so I have like terms, 4k and 12k together make 16k minus 20 greater than or equal to -4. So I'm going to add 20 to both sides to get the 16k by itself. So 16k is greater than or equal to 16. Divide by the coefficient. So I get k is greater than or equal to 1. Okay, so if you want to check this, it says greater than or equal to 1, so let's put a 1 in and see if it works. 1 minus 5 is -4. Sorry. -4 times 4 is 16. 12 times 1 is 12, so 16 plus 12 is 32, 38. 16 plus 12 is 28. That's greater than -4, so that works. So then if I put a number greater than 1 in, you can see that that's going to work too. So that's how you check those. Pick a number that makes your answer true, put it in and make sure the equation is also still true. That will help if you forget to flip your sign. You won't get something that's true. We'll talk about that in a moment. Okay, so to graph it, I have greater than or equal to, so that's going to be a closed circle. So I'm going to put a circle on 1. And it's greater than, so I'm going to go all the numbers that are greater than 1. So if I think about a number greater than 1, I think of 2. That's on the right. So we're going to say to the right. Okay, so here's the thing. If you put your variables on the left, then you do shade in whichever direction that is pointing. Okay, but you have to make sure your variables are on the left before you use that. So if you're not sure, just think about, like I did, what's greater than 1. Wherever that number lies, to the right or to the left, that's where you shade. Okay, next one. Again, I have distribution. So I'm going to distribute here, and then that's it. So over here I have 3t plus 3 times t and 3 times 1, minus 4t greater than or equal to -5 plus 2t. So I combine like terms over here. I get -t plus 3 greater than or equal to -5 plus 2t. Okay, I want my variables on the left because it's easier to graph. So I have 2t. I'm going to subtract 2t from both sides. So 2t minus t is negative 3t plus 3 greater than or equal to negative 5. I have to get rid of the plus 3. I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides, minus 3. So that leaves me with negative 3t greater than or equal to negative 8. Now I divide by my coefficient of negative 3. I am dividing by a negative. That is going to flip my sign around. So now that equals 1. So I have t. I divide it by a negative. So now instead of greater than or equal to, I have less than or equal to. And so is a fraction. Not a big deal. Negative 8 divided by negative 3. Negative divided by negative is positive. You get 8/3. Okay, so what's a number less than 8/3? 0 works. So I'm going to put 0 in and see if I get a true statement. 0 plus 1 is 1. Times 3 is 3. 4 times 0 is 0. So I get 3 on the left. 3 is greater than negative 5 plus 2 times 0 is 0. So is 3 greater than negative 5? Yes. If I don't flip my sign, I'm going to get, I'm going to get t is greater than 8/3. So greater than 8/3 is 3, because 3 is 9/3. So if I put a 3 in here, 3 plus 1 is 4, times 3 is 12. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. So, sorry, I'm forgetting what number 3, 4, 12. So 12 minus 12 is 0. So I would get 0 is greater than negative 5 plus 6. 2 times 3 is 6, is 1. Is 0 greater than 1? Of course not. So then you're like, oh, wait. Let me go back and check my work, and hopefully you'll see you forgot to switch your sign. All right, now graphing. If you already have numbers, so 8/3, what I would probably do, I know a lot of people converted it to 2 2/3, so 2.6, so you can kind of estimate where it is. So you can do that, put it between 2 and 3. Or you know that 9/3 is 3, so it's a little bit less than 3. It's going to be a closed circle because it's less than or equal to. So you can do that. And then less than is here because we already talked about 0 working and 3 not working. Okay. The other thing you could do is you can change these numbers. So I would just go to my 8, make it 8/3. Maybe I would do this so my teacher would know that's what I'm doing and shade it in that way. So if I give you a number line with numbers already on it that doesn't work, like that's going to happen in this next one, you just change them. Okay. All right. Okay, number 12. So this one doesn't have any distribution. I need to get x by itself first. So first I need to get x divided by 2 by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this 4 to the other side. I'm going to subtract 4 from each side. Now some people start it with multiplication, and you can, because you're going to multiply x over 2 by 2 to get rid of that denominator. But if you do that, not only do you have to multiply 10 by 2, you have to multiply the 4 by 2. And that's easy to forget. So I always move all my constants first, then I take care of any coefficients with x. Okay, so I will get x divided by 2 is greater than 6. So I multiply each side by 2, because that will equal 1. X is greater than 12. Okay, so let's check a number greater than 12. Let's do something divisible by 2, like 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7. 7 plus 4 is 11, which is greater than 10, so that works. Okay, so when I'm graphing it over here, see, my number line only goes to 10. So either you're going to just put 12 over here, or I'm going to just put a 1 in front of all these to tell my teacher, hey, I'm changing these so that I can graph this easier. Okay, so erase that there. So it's greater than, so that's going to be an open circle because it's not equal to. So I need an open circle at 12. and then it's greater than, so what number is greater than 12? Well, 14, so that's to the right, so I'm shading this way to the right. Okay. All right, so let's move on to this next one. Solve the inequality, and then we have to find 3 possible values that would make it true. So first thing I'm going to do is distribute this 3. So that's going to give me 3 times x plus 3 times 4 minus 5x greater than 4. 3x minus 5x is negative 2x plus 12 is greater than 4. So I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides, and that's going to leave me with negative 2x is greater than negative 8. So I'm going to divide by negative 2. Oh wait, I'm dividing by a negative, so it's going to flip that sign around. So that's going to give me 1. So x, instead of greater than, it's less than now, 4. Okay, so again, we can put a number less than 4 in there and see if it's true. Then I'll have one of my answers for that next part. So less than 4 is 0. 0 is easy to work with. So 0 plus 4 is 4, times 3 is 12, and then 5 times 0 is 0. So 12 minus 0 is 12. 12 is greater than 4. If you put a number greater than 4 in, like say 5, you're not going to get a true statement when you go back to your original equation. All right, so 3 possible values. I just need 3 numbers less than 4. So 0, 1, 2, anything less than 4, but not 4. Okay, so that's all it wanted you to do, is list 3 numbers. Okay, if you wrote down anything less than 4, I counted that as well. Alrighty, so let me get me some room here. Last problem. Okay, so I don't have any distribution. I see I have negative 5r on both sides. It's kind of blurry, sorry about that. So to get rid of that, you're going to add 5r. So over here, if I add 5r, I see I have the 0 pair. So I am left with 6 is less than or equal to negative 10, because these make a 0 pair, right? Is 6 less than negative 10? No, that's crazy. So this is a false statement, and we get a false statement that's not true. That's no, so it's no solution. And that's your answer.